Everyone can say at one point in their time as a gamer they've played some odd titles. This could be something that treads the line of the weird and absurd, or it can just throw a fucking cinder block straight through your bedroom window and straight up concuss you with its weird imagery, strange music, and possibly even weirder themes and jokes. I'm sure there are some of you out there in this Scooby-Doo cyber chase of the internet that you have picked up a game, played it, and thought, damn, this game is weird, but honestly, it's straight up heat. Only to bring it to your friends and they respond with only faces of disgust, asking you, where the hell did you even find this? There was for a time a world where games would only be advertised in magazines on small little side panel or maybe even a small one-off segment on your favorite video game TV show. Then, one day, looking for a game to play, you go to the nearby shop and have this game, untouched by the standard Mortal Kombat or Gran Turismo gamer. Welcome to Nostalgia Dive, a place where I wander through my faulty brain vault and pull out the games from my childhood all the way up to my young adult life to see if they hold up to the powerful nostalgic memories of my now adult self. Today, I have traversed the obscure, shoving myself past titles like Bazooka Tone and Rascal, only to instead pull out this cult classic, this absolute gem of a game. I am talking none other than Katamari Damacy. If you are new here, I like to talk a little bit about the game's development, gameplay, and the story when applicable. I like to tie this all off with a good stuff and bad stuff section, tell you what I like and what I absolutely fucking hate with all my heart. I then proceed to give it a score between 1 and 5 on my nostalgia scale, patent pending, well, not really. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about one of my most favorite weird games, Katamari Damacy. The idea and creation of the game was thanks to none other than Kaita Takahashi. I apologize. Originally, Takahashi was learning to become a sculptor. After completing school, he no longer wanted to be a sculptor. Takahashi, however, still wanted to pursue some form of creative outlet in his life and believed getting into video games would allow him to do so. In 1999, he joined Namco as an artist working smaller projects. This, of course, was when his spark for creativity really soared. He began coming up with the idea for characters for a game that he wanted to make. This would go on to be characters in what would eventually become Katamari. However, he had initially made them for another project that unfortunately was canceled by Namco. This version of what he wanted to create had us playing the titular prince, shaped more like a hammer. He would go around and stun humans, and then stick steering wheels in their heads, taking over control, assuming to cause all kinds of silly shenanigans. With this project not gaining any real interest from his employers, he looked to try to expand his artist role and continued with his creative ideas. Looking into it further, it seemed Takahashi had two major influences for Katamari. One was a prototype that was later dropped by Sony about a girl traveling around floating islands, only connected by power lines. To me, honestly, that sounds kind of badass. Like, it could have been some kind of Studio Ghibli type of adventure. I couldn't find a good way at figuring out the name of this prototype, but I did see on Wikipedia it was called Densen. The other influence on Katamari was a game Japanese kids would play in school, known as, and I again apologize for the language difference here, but Tamakorogashi. Apparently this is some kind of game where you would roll a large ball around. He also fit the ideas he had for his characters from his prior idea into this game as well. The prince, the king, and queen of all cosmos. There was no easy way for Takahashi to pitch his game as he was only part of the art department in Namco. A former boss of his, Mitsutoshi Ozaki, actually suggested a rather clever way of seeing his ideas through. You see, back then, Konami had established a design school that would educate and eventually hire staff into their company. Some experimental products made in this school even made themselves into fully fledged games under the Konami umbrella. Well, Namco had a similar program called the Namco Digital Hollywood Laboratory, and they hoped that this program would see the same amount of success as Konami's version of it. Takahashi thought joining this program would be the best shot at seeing his ideas come to fruition, so he joined. Takahashi, as well as 10 other students in the program, managed to create a prototype of what would become Katamari. There were difficulties along this path, one of those being that there were not very many engineers in this program. Namco was planning on laying off some engineers, but Takahashi took that moment to scoop them up from that happening and had them assist him in his project. There were a few difficulties with them developing the game for PlayStation 2, as Sony did not provide any updated dev kits for the 3D graphics that the PlayStation 2 was planning to use. Nintendo actually was planning on releasing the GameCube, and so they managed to get their hands on the more dev-friendly console to continue their work on the game, even though the game would still be released on the PlayStation 2. I honestly was thinking about this, and I thought that having Katamari on the GameCube Probably would have been an awesome alternate timeline. I'm not so sure if it would have made more sales, but I definitely probably would have begged for a GameCube back in the day if this game was on there. Takahashi had many ideas for what the final version of Katamari would be like. Originally, he wanted to add interactive music, which would be simple when first starting out a level, but then get more fantastic as the Katamari grew in size. Due to system memory, they did not implement the system as it was tied to the Katamari shrinking back down in size, which was too much for the console, so they scrapped the interactive music idea as well. The prototype only took 6 months to develop in that time. Takahashi presented it to Namco internally and they allowed him to work on the project fully. Full development of Katamari began in 2001. Namco actually assigned an external team to assist with working on the project. This was a company called Now Production. Takahashi was initially worried about working with an external team, but they actually turned out to work pretty well with the Namco side. The team totaled around 20 members between the two companies, and Namco gave them a budget of 100 million yen, or it looks like $650,000 US at the time of production. To give you an idea, that was 1/10 of what would normally be allocated to Namco's video game projects. Takahashi said that the team was aiming for 4 key elements when developing the game: novelty, ease of understanding, enjoyment, and humor. One other thing to mention is that the game's soundtrack. I personally think it is one of the best soundtracks in the gaming industry. While many of its jazzy tunes were created by Yu Miyake, it also features famous singers in the J-pop industry and some popular voices in anime at the time. There is also one song that was written and sung by the composer for Lupin III. You will hear a faint amount of this music in the background of this video, but I highly recommend you go to your favorite listening service and experience the whole tracks yourself. Katamari Damacy released on PlayStation 2 in Japan and North America in 2004. A remaster of Katamari known as Katamari Damacy Reroll released on Windows and Switch in 2018 with a PS4 and Xbone One in 2020. In this video, you will be seeing me play the Reroll version that was released on Steam. With that, we can go ahead and move on to gameplay. Katamari plays as an action puzzle game. You control a little guy named only as the Prince as he rolls around a Katamari across a bunch of levels. Katamari is a ball that you use to roll up simple objects, and normally this takes place in what seems to be Japan. The Katamari, of course, gets bigger and bigger as you roll up objects. A lot of the time you will have a time limit that varies depending on how large you must make the Katamari. Once time runs out, you'll be taken to a screen where the prince's dad, the king of all cosmos, will grade the Katamari. The grade looks to be mainly based on size of the Katamari. The larger, the better. He also will praise you for completing the Katamari's size goal quickly as well. Some levels will require special tasks for the prince to take on as well. One common task is to collect a lot of one certain item, for example, crabs. Controlling the prince and thus the Katamari is easy to learn yet difficult to master. The player uses their controller's analog sticks at the same time to roll it around. Obviously, however, rolling backwards is slower than rolling forwards, so if you click both analog sticks, you can flip the prince around to basically do a 180 and allow you to keep rolling forward. Pushing one of the analog sticks either left or right will allow the Katamari to turn in its respective direction. You can also dash by quickly moving the analog sticks up and down to give you a decent speed boost. When rolling around, if you run into stuff bigger than you, it will sometimes knock off objects you have already rolled up. In each level, you will also come across secret items. These are usually gifts that the prince can wear as little accessories. This can be a scarf, earmuffs, or other little wearables that we can put on him. Katamari Damacy also features a multiplayer mode. This is played in vertical split screen where you must compete to collect the most objects in 3 minutes. Outside of this, you really only have a few options on how you get to play each level. These all, of course, have to be unlocked by playing them in their regular game mode. There is the standard roll-up mode, a time attack mode, and if you manage to roll up a massive Katamari, there is also the Eternal mode. Eternal mode actually just allows you to roll up and explore levels without any actual time limits. That's all I can really say for gameplay. It's a rather simple game in practice, but the gameplay loop itself has always been satisfying to me personally. Let's go ahead and talk about Katamari's story and Wacky Cast. Katamari actually starts with the king of all cosmos having a drunken night of dance and revelry. I'm sure we've all been there, right guys? Boo, you stink! Yeah, so while he is dancing around having a good time, Bro is annihilating every star on the known universe. When this is all said and done, he has a little father-son talk about his wonderful night, his son being our main character for this game, the iconic Prince. Supposedly, the dude was really just feeling himself one with the cosmos and then just thought to destroy everything that made him the king of all cosmos. Honestly, this guy acts like it's his first day, and you're not supposed to take over as king and then just destroy everything that's been built up by the ones before you, right? Yeah, so when he was having his little talk with the prince, he tasks him with restoring all of the cosmos. Of course, we take up this task by going to Earth, which has somehow survived, and use our little Katamari to roll up items. Between these tasks, we get a peek at a Japanese family the internet tells me is the Hoshino family, and we get to follow the mom, dad, and two little kids, a boy and a girl. We first get to see the two kids seeing a news broadcast telling us everyone that the moon has disappeared. No doubt, as you and I know, this is thanks to our drunken father. Now, I know that some of you will ask about the drunkenness thing, and I learned it while researching this video that in the Japanese release of the game, it seems that the King of Cosmos was allegedly drinking while doing his little dance of destruction. This, of course, was changed when the game was released in North America, but I think the king being a drunken dad kind of fits with the whole gaslighting, child endangerment, and, well, the big thing, which is having his son fix his fuck-ups. Anyway, moving on, we will move through these levels, learning our deeds and what impact they have on the Hoshino family through various cutscenes. As I said before, there are these challenge levels. These task you with completing the various star systems out there. Completing these challenges will also net us a cutscene as well. Usually the little girl will say that she feels the cosmos returning, and I feel like some of these are perfect meme material. Throughout our time with the Hoshino family, we'll learn that the dad is an astronaut and the family are going to see him launch a rocket to land on the moon. But we find out that there's no moon right now and they have to cancel the launch, since there is nothing out in the cosmos any longer. You'd figure they would have canceled it ahead of time since the news knew about the moon disappearing, but hey, that's just me. We go through several of these levels for the king before we arrive to the last one, which is to actually roll up enough stuff to create a new moon. Now, this level takes a long ass time. I'm talking 30 minutes of nonstop rolling up the world. But once we do, we get a cutscene showing the cosmos being restored. Everyone dances and parties with the pandas and other random things in a fever dream-like closing scene. We actually get a shot of the Hoshino family up on the moon, as it seems they have been rolled up in its creation. They believe this to be the perfect time for all of them to have a nice little vacation up on the moon, surviving the vacuum of space. Don't think about it too much, as this really is just a chill, relaxing game where the only repercussions of losing is your father putting you on a little table and punishing you for not fixing his mistake. All in all, the story is fairly short, and there's not a whole lot of nuance in this weird little game, other than maybe not being a poorly behaved drunken father to your son, that is. I'd say for now we can move on to the goods and bads section. Honestly, the biggest thing about this game for me, similar to that of Jet Set Radio, is the music. It is honestly some of the best pieces of music I've heard from a game. I know that it offers a somewhat jazzy, samba, electronic blend that may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it really is fitting for this game. Rolling around listening to Moon and Prince just does something for me. I don't know, maybe it's the nostalgia of it all.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
The levels are designed with a whole lot of love, even though they are quite simple, but that's something that the team was actually shooting for, a simple, chill little game. It's not hard to control, and it's not even that difficult to get around. The only thing I feel that someone could get frustrated with is getting stuck on objects or getting stun locked by any of the various creatures that will continuously try to run you down if you are smaller than them. This was one of the first games I introduced to my son, who at the time was probably no older than 3 or 4 years old. It's really just a fun game. Simple game for anyone, and I think I will continue to return to this game, even if it's just through the game's soundtrack or vicariously through watching my son play it, as even to this day, I still see him playing it. I give Katamari a perfect score, 5 out of 5 on the nostalgia scale. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of these videos, don't forget to subscribe, as I release these monthly. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you've played Katamari, which Katamari game was your favorite? Don't forget to follow me over on Twitch if you want to see me go live, where I can have more of a informal chat about these videos, or just games in general. I love to see what you guys have to say. I'll see you guys later. Peace.